For a change.
This is an important submittal, and this is the result of findings above password. Before I get going though, I do want to introduce state park staff that are been instrumental in helping us move this RP process forward and doing deep dives into evaluations. I have Sang Kim. He replaced Steve Torres, who passed away last year, which is a severe impediment to my decision, both emotionally but also in moving the process in a lot of our dispositions. And Steve was instrumental in getting the Waiale disposition for the ball fields going. And then we have Steve Lau, who we stole from Land Division, who had a whole report down in absence of entire property management. We have two property managers, and Alan, my job as the administrator, is kind of leading the charge and trying to get all of our dispositions organized and continue to work on income. But just as an aside, when I came into Parks in the Division of Forestry and Wildlife 7 years ago or so, there was neither an assistant administrator nor any property manager. So the three people sitting behind me did not exist when I came into the position that Alan now has. And it was in 2010, it was during the recession. So I had to hit the ground running, chasing down new sources of income. And rather than deal with this kind of backlog of what I'm going to, just for now, messages, positions, and whatnot, we went for the low-hanging fruit of charging parking and entry fees, such as Eau, the Poly, Copper Falls, because we were really short on cash. We couldn't make payroll. We're in good shape now. Our operating income is about $13 million, which is the highest it's ever been. A big chunk of support has been the transit accommodation tax money that we now get. And, with that being said, our 27 current revocable permits, I think it's important for you guys to know, and Tommy understands this, the former land agent, the dispositions that State Parks issues on these kind of short-term dispositions, they're different from land division in that we provide these dispositions are service-oriented for park programs in addition to just straight-up dispositions of land. And so I thought it'd be helpful as we crafted this board submission to you guys. If you look on the second page, where I categorized our RPs into 4 distinct types. We currently have 10 that deal with commercial tours and recreational activities. We have 11 that are partnerships that provide a service of some kind. We have 5 camp activities. And we currently have one of the books that is comparable to a land division one. It's the Kahana pastoral one, but as a reminder, you also recently approved the 3 for the Wailea River that we have over us. So virtually all of these, except for the agricultural ones, they're value-added service to the general public to support park programs, either recreation, food service at parks, camp activities. And so some of these are eligible, and if you look at the back chart, I tried to make it very simple to skim. The ones highlighted in yellow, now that we're fully staffed, although Steve Lau is making some kind of communication, he may retire, but I might be a little short staffed again. But the ones highlighted in yellow, we're pretty confident we can get into a long-term disposition via some form of concession. These are straight up highest bid win type of concessions, and so these we can probably launch within the next year, because knowing that it's the will of the board and the task force to try to, where we can, peel these RPs out of our inventory and turn them into competitive concession. So in the interest of time, because I know it's been a long day, if you guys give me the discretion to do so, what I'd kind of like to do, if you want, is just briefly go island by island if you feel you want me to give you a description of what these are, because I know that was one of the issues that came up from the public, and that a lot of these RPs were kind of just buried in books. But in the interest of time, since you can read through them yourselves and you can kind of get a general idea of what they are, if you don't mind, I just would like to highlight a few that may require a little bit more in-depth discussion because they're unusual. The Hawaii Climbing Coalition, that's the one on under Panacea State Park. This is a really unusual revocable permit. Certainly. No, thanks. We could do that.
We could actually vote on those, and then you can continue just to help.
No, I defer to you guys how you want to move
I
this.
just wanna
Certainly.
give some relief to our
Okay.
members
No,
of the city.
I'm sure.
I'm right here.
Oh, so, yeah, Ted would appreciate that. All right.
Thank you.
For Kauai, we have for the Napali Coast State Wilderness Park, these are including inflatable boat and kayak landing permits for the commercial guided tours to Nuololokai and Milili'i along the Napali Coast. These RPs were approved in 2005, but have had much more complex and long-standing views way before my time related to permits that were initiated in the 1980s. Sang and Stephen Allen are working on a process to determine how we take these various and sundry transiting permits and come up with a method to assess them as a concession and not do it as a revocable permit, and in doing so also do a deeper dive on the rates, which I would be the first to admit I think we could do some rate adjustments on these. So Ted is here if you'd like to ask him any questions in regards to his permit in regards to the Napali Coast.
Well, Ted, did you have something that you were prepared to tell us?
I can share some stuff with the board, yes. Would you like to make one? Okay. Yes. Good afternoon, and thank you for having us here. My name is Ted Myers. We have a family business my brother-in-law started. It's called Napali Zodiac Productions. It really started the whole Napali Coast access to not only visitors but to people who live here. And my brother-in-law, if you don't mind, I can go a little bit of history. Some of you guys have heard this, some haven't. He came here in the early 70s with a couple surf buddies, and they bought a little boat, and people started asking him for rides down the coast because they would go surfing down the coast. And out of that came an idea that, you know, people need access. We can make a little money for our surf trips. And it eventually turned around to the point where he went in and got a permit. There was never a permit for boats like that to that point. Got a permit in 1977. Now, to get this permit, he went to the this board and the DLNR, and he got what's called a Conservation District Use Application, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and it got approved for us to run boats down the Napali Coast, land at Nuololokai, which we do right now as part of our business. We also, part of that CDUA was landing at Kalalau Beach and dropping off campers, picking up campers and hikers, and make it so people could do a day use where they could get dropped off and walk out. And we also had a permit to land at Milili'i, which we did fairly regular, not as regular as Kalalau, but we still had took quite a few visitors in there throughout the years and quite a few residents. We did that clear up to 1998. Never had a blemish on our safety record. Never had any lawsuits involving the state. Never had any issues with anything. In fact, we were an asset to the state because if you go back to the old timers and ask them, you know, what did we called we changed our name because everybody started calling my brother-in-law Captain Zodiac because he drove a Zodiac. And so we changed, you know, the operating advertising name, we changed to Captain Zodiac. when Jordan, I don't know if any of you guys know who Jordan was, but he was a member hired by the DLNR to be at Kalalau Beach during the summer months.
Jordan Joe Keel.
Yep.
Under
And-
Mike Wilson.
And we would help Jordan out. We bought a very expensive radio system because he had no communication in there at all. And we set it up at Nualola. At Kalalau, and I don't know whatever happened to that radio system, but he was there for a couple of years. And when he had an emergency, he had an injured hiker, he could call us because we're going by there every day. Plus, we were doing the drop-offs. So we went ahead and got that all set up for him, and we assisted a lot with. When we were doing the beach drop-offs at Kalalau, we took trash out every day. And again, no safety issues, anything like that. Everybody was pretty happy with us going in and out of Kalalau. It gave people another option to enter the park without having to hike 11.6 miles on a pretty treacherous trail. We did a lot of rescues. Every time we brought someone out with a broken ankle or somebody couldn't do the hike, we didn't charge them. We just brought them out for free. We were there religiously every morning at a certain time to pick everybody up that wanted to ride out. So, and I know I'm getting a little off topic but it was part of our permit in those days. The other part was that we were there every day to take anybody out, take the trash out, and we kept the area clean. We'd still like to do that. But this went all the way till 1998, and we were the originator. But because, when you have something that's as attractive, as incredible as the Nepali Coast, people are going to want to go see it. And so through the years, a couple other boat companies came into operation, started operating out of Honolulu, and then a few more. And they all were using the Black Pot Park. Now, we were going out of tunnels in those days, so we weren't using the park. But all the newcomers made a big problem in Kauai. That basically was, if anybody knows the history, was a big thing going on it was political. We were in magazines, the mayor towing the boats behind her and everything. So that went on for many years until 1998. Now, in 1998, the governor chose, because of all the stuff about the boats and because of the election, is the way I understand it, he shut down North Shore boating altogether. Now, all these guys originally had permits like they're supposed to, but the governor just pulled it out from under them, shut them down. That shut us down. We struggled for a little while, and then we were able to start running off the other side out of Kikila Harbor. At first, when they shut us down, they wouldn't let us leave from anywhere. But when we got it restarted, and this was in 2000, Ralston Nagata was in his position. And I said, look, the Von Tisnick's letting us run a boat out of Kapaa. Now, nobody's ever done that before, and nobody's done it since, Kapaa to Nuololo. But I did that for a whole year. Quite a ride, I'll tell you. But I talked to Ralston and said, okay, we're ready to go. How about the camper? He said, no. Just do your Nuololo Kai part of your permit. Don't do call out. Don't do Mioli. We're not ready to say yes to that. Remember, we'd been out of business for a year and a half since the governor had shut us down. But when we got this permit to go out of Kapaa, we started doing it. So we started doing our Nuololo runs. And that year I ran to Nuololo from Kapaa, which next year I knew that wasn't going to work, so we finally got a spot over in the west side. And again, I asked Ralston, after that first year, can we start doing the call-out Mioli pickups? And he goes, no, not yet. Well, then Ralston retired, and then Dan Quinn came along, and we went to the board hearing like this one, and to renew our permit that had call-out, Nuololo, Mioli on our permit. And at the board meeting, Dan was the new guy, but it came out that, well, they're not using the call-out permit, and they're not using the Mioli permit, so we're taking it away from your permit. So at that point in time, there was no legal operator from then on at call-out or Mioli, so nobody has access there unless they go illegally, if they want to visit, unless they have their own boat, So throughout the years that Dan was here, we always talked about it, and he'd go, oh, that guy John Sargent who used to do it, what you think, if you got started up, he could still do it? And I go, I'm good friends with Johnny, I think he'd love to, because he was like our expert waterman that would land on the beach there. So we did that for all those years ever since. But the call-out, Nuolo thing I mean, the call-out meal, these things never gotten brought back into our permit. I don't think it should have ever been taken out. But we've been running the new Lola ones at Aldi ever since then. So that kind of sums up a bit of the history. I've been part of it myself since 1981. My brother-in-law got his permits there. The permits were operating under in 1977 that he got the CDUA for. And in 2005, they went to these RVs, revocable permits, is that what they're called?
RPs, yeah.
RPs, yeah. And, we're just along before the party. I mean, we have to do what you guys say, but, I've come to every one of these meetings, and spoke on behalf of my brother-in-law, and he comes to some of them, but his health's not quite there yet right now, but he couldn't make this trip. But anyways, if you have any questions or if somebody wants some real thorough history on this, I'd be happy to sit down with any of you. We hope you'll renew our permits. That's the suggestion here. And we've run a pretty solid business, and we've given access to many, many thousands of people into the state parks there.
Thank you. Questions?
How much do you pay monthly to the state?
Well, it's figured out as 5%. I'm sorry, $5 a head or
5%.
5%. I'm sorry, $5. Oh, it's 5% or $15 a head. Most of the time, it's 5% because.
No, you're $5 a person. Okay.
Yeah, but there's a percentage which is ever greater.
Yeah, 5% of gross, which 5 a person or 5% of.
So 5% of gross is what we pay.
Because you're always higher than the $5 a person, right?
Yeah.
So back to my question: how much do you pay a month?
I don't have that in my head. We submitted it to him. It's in the thousands of dollars.
Do you have that shit?
I sent it to you with that.
Prepared for me just the income from the Kealakekua guys, because they were the $5 per person one without the percentage. So I don't have that figure now. I just have the Kealakekua ones. The annuals on the $5 don't also do a percentage.
So do you?
I actually, if you give me a minute, I can look it up.